Welcome back to Reddit from Reddit. Today we're looking at the AskReddit. What's the biggest red flag when meeting new people? One of my bosses once told me that whenever you start a new job or position, it's usually the first person who tries really hard to be your friend is the problem child of the office. They'll usually start telling you of people to avoid as well. I found this very, very useful. When you mention something you enjoy and they immediately put it down. I enjoy going on photography walks around the cities. That sounds really crappy. Okay, well, kindly get lost, Mr. or Mrs. Stranger. They don't listen to what you say and respond accordingly. They only wait for you to stop talking so they can talk about whatever they want to talk about. There's also this issue of people who won't stop talking in order for you to respond in any way. They have their own personal soliloquy. I know people that don't even wait for me to stop. I've seen a lot of answers along the lines of when they say negative things about others, which I agree with, by the way, but for me, a huge red flag is when someone can't let someone else receive praise or be the center of attention. I've met people in the past who have shown small signs of jealousy when I've praised mutual friends, siblings, strangers, etc., and in each case it was indicative of bigger jealousy and self-esteem issues that led to some messed up stuff. The absolute worst is people trying to one-up another person's suffering. It's one thing to listen and say, I have a similar experience, this is what it is, so I can relate to what you're going through, but it's entirely another when it's, oh, you've sprained your ankle? I broke mine in 3 places and was on crutches for months. What you're going through is nowhere near as bad. Never, ever dismiss someone else's pain because you think you've been through worse. Belittling their significant other in front of people, but insisting it's a joke every time. Sadly, in this situation, I used to be the belittled significant other. I briefly had a friend like this. We all went out for drinks one night, and she relentlessly castrated her fiancé while he just sat there like a kicked dog. Meanwhile, she added my gay buddy to people we didn't even know that well. She thought the whole scene was just hysterical. Toxic B word right there. My uncle does this to my aunt constantly. Every time they had a family dinner, he would insult her and make fun of her. Meanwhile, she cooked a huge dinner for everyone. I had to stop going over there because their marriage is so bad and they refuse to divorce. Usually when people speak of having a lot of people in their life, that somehow turned on them and now they don't speak anymore. I remember one old coworker would become super fast friends with someone, and then within weeks, yeah, we don't really talk anymore. Once, I'll accept. Hell, even twice. But when it's 4 to 5 times over, guess what? It's not everyone else. Sounds kind of similar to me. Make friends easily, but I really can't keep them around. They don't turn on me, and I don't burn bridges, I just let the bridge decay over time. When you barely know them and they act like your best friend, then later ask to borrow money. Yikes, how to tell who is a leecher in minutes. I had a friend like that. He was in his early 20s, but seemed an alright guy. One day, out of the blue, he tells me, dude, I really need to move out of my parents' house, but I don't have any money. I need about $300. I just stood there for a second and then said, dude, I don't just have that kind of money. His response was, I know, but I also know you have other friends who do. Can you ask them for me? I ended the conversation and stopped talking with him from then on. We weren't even friends for very long, but I didn't need someone in my life constantly asking for money like that. Subtle signs that they aren't remotely interested in you, and the only way you two are together is maybe because an obligation or favor. People change their tune often when they have to conceal their feelings of disdain for someone. What kind of signs would you list as examples? On their phone a lot, ignoring what you say, pretending to be busy with something else. Personally, it's pretty obvious when people are faking being busy. I've been a victim of this and done this to other people. It sucks being on the receiving end of someone's disinterest, but some people just won't like you from the get-go and will just do the bare minimum to not be completely rude. Watch out for body language, like avoiding eye contact and turning away their body from you. Also pay attention to their tone and if they're listening to you. Usually it takes a combination of verbal and nonverbal cues to know. Also, by avoiding eye contact, I mean constantly looking elsewhere on purpose as if to imply you're waiting for something better to happen. They don't really listen to you or pay attention to what you're talking about, but expect you to be totally engaged with whatever they say and act put out if you aren't. Ah, the distracting noise coming out of that other person's mouth stopped. Finally, it's my chance to talk about me. That's why I'm the master of, that's crazy, and look really freaking interested, even though I really don't care. The interrupters. The problem is that people like that are often extremely charismatic, and you really want to like them, which is fine. Just don't make the mistake of thinking you are friends, because with people like that, it's almost exclusively a one-way street. When they only talk about themselves. I hate that. They should be talking about me. Yep, I once had a 2-hour-long date with someone where he asked me 2 questions. I get that, but at the same time, if we just met, then I don't know anything about you, so I can't talk about you. So what am I supposed to talk about? When they're judgmental and critical of others, but never of themselves. You know my father? Yeah, I seen him at the store buying milk a few years ago. Everyone here talking about slightly negative people, but OP asked for the biggest red flag, so I'm gonna go with having a swastika scar on their forehead. Not to see what you're gonna do when the war's over. When they start talking about the tons of money I'm going to be making with their new business venture and selling knives door to door. This knife will cut right through your shoes. That's oddly specific. It's common as hell though, vector marketing and MLL bullcrap that is. They'd be on the same level as hardcore conspiracy theorists, where they think they're on the next wave of thinking when they're so far back in actuality. Asking me to PM them my ankle. Massive red flag. Oh. If they can't take no for an answer. Yeah, I met someone, strictly platonic, recently who immediately got defensive when I said I couldn't take time away from my business at that time to do something social with them. They threatened to show up at my house and asked, what would you do then? There had been a bunch of red flags with this person leading up to this point, but that was where I was like, goodbye, psycho. That's not how any healthy friendship, acquaintanceship works. Thank goodness I have enough good people in my life to recognize that. My girlfriend has a best friend like this. The friend and I went back and forth for almost 10 minutes as I tried to explain why I didn't want to hang out with her and some other people. In her opinion, because I don't want to, isn't a real reason not to do something. I am terrified for anyone she has sex with, honestly. Hi, my name is blank, and I'm an a-hole. Literally how the shop manager introduced himself to everyone. Like it's an excuse. My older sister would constantly brag how she's as if that's something to admire. She is, in fact, completely crappy and a narcissist. I've never met any self-proclaimed or a-holes who turned out to be pretty cool. She also married a guy who introduced himself to me as, I'm an a-hole and I have no filter. At least they deserve each other. Oh, glob. This can frick right off along with the, I'm just a blunt person, I say it like it is group. Had a creative writing teacher like this. I ended up dropping in class 2 weeks into the semester because she was so cruel, she would only read the first line of writing before tearing into it. People think I'm a bitch, but I'm really just blunt and tell the truth. They can't handle it. Nah, chances are you're just a bitch. That and the can't handle me at my worst, don't deserve me at my best types. People who call themselves brutally honest usually enjoy the brutality more than the honesty. Let's be honest, we often see these red flags, but deliberately push on to form a relationship. If the relationship goes bust, we critique ourselves for not heeding the warning signs. This is an unjust self-criticism. I know a woman who is dating a guy who dated one of my friends. This guy is former, likely current, drug addict, alcoholic, adulterous, has cheated on everyone he's been with, including this new girl, pathological liar, I mean that in the clinical sense, not hyperbole, narcissist, again, clinical, bankrupt, over $100,000, unemployed, or if he is employed, is working under the table, has been engaged 3 times, married twice, and has financially ruined every woman prior. Yet when we tried to warn her, even showed her a paper trail and evidence he's been unfaithful to her, she told us to F off and to stop bad-mouthing a good man. Honestly, we just don't want to see another person hurt. She's now trying to help him get custody of his 4 kids. That chick is going to reap a lifetime of problems, and there's nothing anyone can do to change her mind. When you're wearing rose-colored glasses, all the red flags look like just flags. I've only ever met 2 men that I'm aware of who lied to me about their ages when we met. Both of these men turned out to be extremely unpleasant and abusive people. I dated one of them and knew the girlfriend of the other one. I think people who lie easily, even over trivial things, tend to have very complex psychological problems and are best steered clear of. OMG, last boyfriend did this by 5 years to make himself look older. He lied about a lot of things for months to get me to fall for him. Scariest part was how much he lied to himself to dodge his own issues. He honestly didn't see how much he was the cause of his own problems. I did nope out of that one really fast. He ended up stalking me for months. Actually, he's still doing it. It's been a nightmare. He even moved into my neighborhood. When they try to one-up you in everything you say. What's the difference between sharing stories that relate to the original story and one-upping? Oh, when you went to insert cold place here? Well, I went there at winter and it was recorded as one of the coldest days ever. Oh, you went to insert cold place here? Yeah, me too. Did you try insert local restaurant? It was nice. What did you do there? How they treat waiters and waitresses, cashiers, janitors, bus drivers, and everyone in the service industry. A coworker friend of mine left a bunch of trash at the cinema after we finished watching a movie. I angrily picked up his trash, chased him, and told him to throw it away at the bin 3 meters outside of the cinema. And he replied, "Dude, why are you so Japanese?" I did graduate from Japan. I'm just letting the janitors do their job. No, dude, it's not being Japanese. It's being having manners. Couldn't look at him the same way ever since. So true, full red flag for not cleaning your own mess regardless of the situation. I mean, seriously, who would want to date or be friends with such trash folk? Same goes for basic manners. We don't care if your family owns the whole gosh dang planet. If you lack manners, you get zero respect and appreciation as a fellow human being. I have an unusual name. I don't mind when people ask me to repeat it, or even when they awkwardly ask about its origin. Dad is an immigrant. But when they're obnoxious about it, that's usually a good indication that they're stupid or an a-hole. Reading through these comments made me realize I'm an a-hole. It's like I've been told I'm an a-hole by my very best friends constantly at one point of time, and I just shrugged it off, thinking I'm way too charismatic for them to handle. First step in fixing a problem is acknowledging there is one. Being an a-hole isn't permanent. Keep up the good work. If you realize you do any of the stuff in this thread and go, "Oh crap, that's me," instead of mentally discarding it as if it doesn't apply to you, doesn't count when you do it, then you're probably not an a-hole. Nobody's perfect, and a lot of this stuff is very common or easy to do accidentally. More than 2 tattooed teardrops. I worked at a Hobby Lobby, and some really big buff guy came in and came up to the registers with 5 teardrop tattoos and purchased a pile of felt squares and a pack of sparkly stickers. Too much information too quickly. People who divulge too much about themselves from the offset generally have poor boundary issues. I speak from experience. I'm a recovering poor boundary haver. I do this. Yikes. I'm also very intense in relationships and generally get attached to people too quickly. How do you develop better boundaries? Boundaries. Fast. F. Be fair. Be fair, not just to the other person, but also be fair to yourself. Don't put the other person's needs or desires above your own, or keep your needs or desires to yourself. Be assertive, not aggressive or passive-aggressive, and speak your truth, but also listen to the other person and be open to a discussion or a compromise. Don't expect the other person to always accommodate your preferences, and don't accept never having yours considered or honored. A. No apologies. No unjustified apologies. Do not be overly apologetic. Apologize for making a request, for breathing, taking up space, being alive. Don't apologize for having your own opinion or for disagreeing with others. Many people, with and without BPD, struggle with over-apologizing, something that can serve to perpetuate low self-esteem and feelings of frustration, resentment, self-loathing, or self-betrayal. This is the opposite of self-respect. If you find yourself apologizing several times a day, start asking yourself, what am I apologizing for? Did I do or say something that legitimately warrants an apology, or am I over-apologizing? Often, people apologize to avoid conflict or because they have difficulty tolerating someone being angry with them, so they apologize to smooth things over or keep the peace. Here is an important point to keep in mind. If you apologize for every little thing, you may appear insincere when it comes to a situation where an apology is actually warranted. Building mindfulness around over-apologizing can help you break the habit and raise your self-respect. S. Stick to values. Don't compromise or abandon your own values to try to please others or conform. Don't do anything that goes against what you know to be right for you. For example, if the rest of your friends want to go to a bar and stay out until 2 a.m., and you know that in your early sobriety you have difficulty being around alcohol and you need to be at work at 9 a.m. the next day, then clearly the situation is not right for you personally. Speak up and make other suggestions or make alternate plans. Don't abandon your friends, religion, or hobbies for your new boyfriend or girlfriend. Make time to do the things that are important to you, and both you and your new relationship will be healthier for it. If another person expects you to compromise things that are important to you, then the relationship may not be the best fit for you anyway. T. Be truthful. Don't lie, exaggerate, or stretch the truth. Don't make excuses. Don't act helpless or take advantage of others when you are capable of helping yourself. Whether telling a little white lie or a blatant tale, people can be untruthful for many reasons. Often they are trying to avoid confrontation, conflict, or getting into trouble. Perhaps they are trying not to hurt another person's feelings. And sometimes people lie in an effort to try to manipulate or control a situation. Making a habit of telling lies has a way of eventually tripping us up when one forgets what they have said and to whom they have said it. Play it safe and create a situation for yourself in which you never have to worry about what you have or have not said, thereby keeping anxiety, guilt, and shame away. Remember, telling only partial truths or omitting facts are also ways of being untruthful and can be harmful to relationships. When they're instantly rude to waiters or strangers in general. Went on a date with a guy who was very condescending to the waitstaff. It was mortifying. He was confused as to why I never wanted to go out with him again. When the first thing they tell you about themselves is all the hardship and unfairness in their lives. I was born with glass bones and paper skin. Every morning I break my legs, and every afternoon I break my arms. At night, I lie awake in agony until my heart attacks put me to sleep. I have a friend like this. She was crying about some guy she went on 2 dates with not wanting to continue to see her, and how her bike got stolen, acting like it was the end of the world. When I mentioned my dog having cancer and dying, the response I got was, "Yeah, but that's not that bad because you have some warning ahead of time," and then continued on about how her life is worse than anyone else's because of mild inconveniences. She was also yelling at me this entire time, like her bike getting stolen and someone not wanting to date her was my fault. People that are not considerate with your time. Being 5 minutes late every so often isn't a big deal, but when people are consistently 20 minutes late and make people wait, say for a dinner, you immediately start hearing from them about all the time other people have hurt them, betrayed them, or otherwise been a-holes to them. If everyone you encounter is an a-hole, chances are you're the a-hole. I met a girl through mutual friends that seemed cute. We flirted a bit and then became Facebook friends. 98% of her feed is passive-aggressive jabs at ex-boyfriends or about guys friend-zoning her after having the nerve to accept back rubs, yet not rewarding her kindness with a relationship. Oh, so if we date and it doesn't work out, you're going to put me on blast to all our mutual friends? That's a hard pass for me. Couldn't agree more. I've met 2 or 3 guys like that. They're disgusting. If you smell poo everywhere you go, check your shoes. My dad. If they are unaware of people around them in a social sense, like they don't thank service staff or stand in the middle of crowded walkways and not move out of the way of others. Congratulations, you have made friends with a toddler. This is not the biggest of red flags, just the ones that have recently pissed me off. My ex was just like that. It was like she lived in her own little bubble. I really think it wasn't because she was a bad person per se. She just didn't seem to realize that the world didn't revolve around her. But it was really stressful going out with her because I always felt like I had to be twice as social, polite, aware to make up for her. I'm an alpha type. Also known as, I'm a self-centered a-hole who doesn't know or won't learn how to behave in public. When they bring up topics out of nowhere just so they can spout their opinions and not actually have a conversation. It's very telling about their personality. When they shake your hand way too freaking hard. Like, WTF, you psycho. I still remember you, Ben, you whack job. It's funny, handshakes are a trust ritual. See, I allow you to control my weapon hand. You can trust me. These morons think they're asserting dominance, but they're just failing a trust test. Anxious person here. I heard giving a firm handshake gives a respectable impression of yourself, especially in a professional setting. I've shaken too hard several times, and it's usually out of pure nervousness. Or when it's really limp, that stuff's creepy. I'm starting a communist revolution. To me, that's a big red flag. Sorry, I have no filter. Oh, so you're an a-hole. No thanks. I've been on a few dates like this, unfortunately. It's one thing to be honest and speak your mind, of course, but if you lack any sort of tact, it comes off as a very crude personality trait, which will only attract other crude and obnoxious people into your life. I have no filter definitely screams a-hole. And that's the end of this Ask Reddit. What's the biggest red flag when meeting new people? Let us know down below. What are your biggest red flags when meeting new people? Were they included in this list? And while you're down there, don't forget to hit the like button, get subscribed to Reddit from Reddit, and share this video with your friends so that you can rejoice over the fact that you guys don't have any red flags and everybody else does. Thank you for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one.